Welcome everybody to Draemn StarCraft 2 for everyone else tournament. Today we have HOOG versus Echthros, Random versus Terran, and co-casted with my buddy Dylan. And who's going to be the one going down today in their first match in the round of 8? Watch out and find out as we go through these 3 exciting matches in this round of 8 match between HOOG and Echthros. Okay, so I am going to be recording another one for you. And this is Sangara, Protoss versus Terran. So of course this is a matchup that many players really don't like, especially if you're not really high level. Nobody really likes this Protoss versus Terran when you're the Protoss. Usually they find it quite hard just because, just because of the way that Terran units are. A lot of them are very strong against different types of Protoss units. Especially that Marauder, and of course siege tanks are always pretty strong. So we're getting off to a pretty good start. I'm just going to fast forward. I just want to say, Sangara, pretty good macro. I'm pretty impressed with it. I think you do pretty decent at your build opening. A couple of little mistakes that aren't going to really lose you the game at the skill level you're playing at. Getting down your gateway at 12. Your gas should have come down already though. So you're a little bit late on this first gas by a supply, not a supply in a bit. And right here you're not building a probe, sort of make up for it. But still pretty good, pretty good. Now the only other thing is, okay, when are you going to put people on gas? 305 this finished. 10 in-game seconds, so I want to see you putting them on gas right away. Be more aware of that. Very beginning of the game, there's not as much going on. And the other thing too is your cyber core could have come out a little bit earlier. Not going to kill you, but just really that gas getting it going faster than cyber right away. Second gateway is fine. I would like to see you cut this first zealot against Terran. Getting this early zealot is not very useful at all. So rather than getting that zealot, just save up some minerals to be able to get your robo bale faster. And of course, warp gate technology, I'd like to see that researched right away. Everybody has their own preference about warp gates. I think that they're still better than going off gateways, and I'd really like to see you research that right away. But overall, no real big complaints. You're still doing great job at building some workers. You're getting in saturation. You transferred to your other gas. A little bit late the transfer, but it's still okay. I like that you got a sentry out. Get that sentry out real early to be able to fend off the Terrans if they decide to make an early push with Marauders and a couple Marines. The only thing though is if you cut that zealot, the nice thing too is you put out a sentry or a stalker first. I like to go sentry just because Reapers are no longer that viable as a rush tactic, and then that way your sentry has a lot of energy by getting it first, and then get a stalker next. But I don't like this. You got a lot of gas. Don't get that second gateway. Just go straight for the robo. Now then again, if your build order had been a little bit better, if you'd gotten your gas a little bit better, and you could get your robo out right now. And like the other thing too is you've got 2 stalkers coming out. Usually against Terran, it's sort of, once you get into playing against Terran, if you know they're not going to do a quick rush on you, okay, yes, you can do different things, but if you don't know that they're not going to do a quick push with just a few Marauders and Marines, make sure that you get that robo bale fast, because that's what's going to really help you stop that early rush. Now in this case he doesn't push early, so it really isn't a big deal, but I would like to see that robo come out just a bit faster. Okay. Pylon placement could be a little bit better just for better vision. Notice these two are really overlapping. You're not putting buildings here, at least you shouldn't. So this one should actually be over here, give you better vision of more area. Okay, there comes your robo bay. As I said, I would have liked to have seen it a bit earlier. Overall, you're doing a pretty good job at not supply blocking yourself and being efficient. Really good. I have a sentry out there and a few stalkers. Get another sentry soon, and you will do that, so that's good. As always, you don't want to get too many sentries when you're going against Terran because you really want to tech up and afford your robo bay instead. And of course, your opponent here, what is he doing? You haven't really scouted anything, but he's going some tanks. and a couple barracks. Now he's actually, you really should have beat him. You're way better than him, but he's getting an immortal coming out. Would have liked to have seen you started that as soon as your rowboat bay finished, but that's okay. And I want to see this one as a warp gate. I don't know why it isn't yet, but maybe you're focusing on someone else. Let's look at your cam. Yeah, so I'm not really sure what you focus. There we go, it becomes a warp gate. And of course, this, you should be, there we go. Now you start it. You need hotkeys though. That will help you a bit. You can use the W key to select all of your warp gates at once. Oh, you already do that. Maybe you don't, I don't know. But the other really important one is your robo bay. You should be putting that on a hotkey. Okay, you got your observer out. You don't really need to get an observer out this early. You really could just put a probe right here. Okay, so let's pause again. We're actually a little bit further than I want it to be. I'm just gonna back it up a little bit. Okay, so right here around the 50 supply mark, this is sort of, that 8.5, 9 minutes, 50 supply. This is sort of, to me, seems to be the area where sort of the game changes from being the cheesy early rush game to a different game, or it becomes the, this is where you start the big battle. So once you get around this mark, you've got these 400 minerals, you're around that 50 supply. I'd like to see you expand. It's going to really help you out to expand earlier, expand right then. And the other thing too is, if you're really not feeling that comfortable about expanding because you're not sure if he's going to push out, just get a probe here. Really cheap. Put a probe here, you'll see him coming out, or even better yet, put it on the high ground because you know he's here. And with the pathing, they usually walk like really close to these walls. They don't walk over here. So you just put a probe here on the high ground, and you're going to see his army come. You're going to see a bit of the composition, and you'll know, if you need to cancel this or not. So, if you're not expanding early just because you're not feeling comfortable and you don't know if he's going to push and you don't want to be behind, just put a unit out there. But sort of around this point is where I like to say, you sort of want to expand. And I would have liked to have seen your immortal production a little bit better, but you've got a lot of minerals at this point. You can spend them pretty easily because you do have these warp gates, three of them, and a robo. But I don't like the placement of this building because you easily get sniped from the ground. But either way, I do want to see you doing some tech up and expanding. And the other thing too, this is about the time usually when players want to be getting out their upgrades and their forge. So not only would it be a good idea to look at expanding, but also to put down your forge and start working towards temp, either Colossi or High Templars. I meant to say tech, not temp. But yeah, really, it's beneficial to have those upgrades. It really helps, especially once you've gone past sort of this 8 to 10 minute mark. It can be very, very beneficial and help you sort of win the game. So, I would like to see poor observer. Really got to be a bit more careful. They're quite expensive. They're not worth wasting to just a missile turret. But anyways, I would have liked to have seen, doing something a bit earlier on rather than just sitting in your base and building up a couple units. So you are expanding now. Good. You're beating your opponent by a lot. I really like the fact that you're putting out these 2 pylons here. Quite good, quite good. I really like that. Okay, I like that you're getting Zealot Charge. I don't like the fact that you got Blink. You don't use Blink at all this game. It was a waste of resources. You don't use it. And it's hard to use efficiently. I really don't suggest getting it unless you're a very player, because most of the time people will get Blink, and unless you're a Diamond, usually you won't end up using it. So one thing I want to say, you let this sit way too long before you put units here. Let's just turn your cam on. Oh. Let's go back a bit. Sorry. Just a little out of it, I guess. Not enough tension. Okay, so you're throwing your immortal down there. Starting another one, I assume. Oh no, I'm an observer again because you lost yours. So, sort of watching your army. Really doesn't do anything good to watch your army like that and just move it. There's a lot of other useful things you could be doing right now. I do like the fact that you use your warp gate hotkeys, that's good, but your robo bay, as I said, should be hotkeyed as well. Okay, have you noticed it's done yet? Have you noticed it's done? You're putting out your pylons. I want you to transfer workers before your pylons. Anyways, it takes you a while to notice. One thing I do want to say though is when you make your worker transfer, I'm very happy to see that you don't just select a ton of them and transfer them. You're very careful not to send more than you should. Now the thing is, you actually didn't send enough. What you want to do is you want to send enough so that you're properly saturated here, and right now you're actually oversaturated here. As you can tell, there's probes that are traveling between mineral patches trying to find an empty one. You really should have transferred some more. And the other thing, of course, is your minerals are a lot higher than your gas, so really you should have transferred to your gas right away rather than your minerals. And these gas did come out a little bit late, because what you really want to do is you really want to build that gas before your Nexus finishes, so that way Protoss, they love gas, especially when you expand. Just go get your gas early as you're expanding. You can throw it down with your Nexus or just before your Nexus finishes, so that way when your Nexus is done you can throw workers on gas right away and then throw them on the minerals. And you know, pretty good on the macro. If we look at the army sizes, you're doing way better than your opponent. You're getting a way larger army, which is awesome. You know, that's very good of you. So you're doing that right. You're definitely doing better than him. But then again, we still don't have a forge. We still have no upgrades coming out. We still don't have, you know, any real tech. We don't have Colossi or High Templars or Stargate tech. And so that's sort of something you really should be doing at this point. We're already over 100 supply. You really should be looking at teching. And the other thing I really want to say is, you've got your second base and you're still running off 3 gates and 1 robo. You really want to throw down a second robo and some more gateways. Now the thing is, reduce. Oh. Okay. Sorry, I almost missed that. It's a good thing I was looking at the mini-map. This is where things go bad for you. This is where things go very bad. Okay. So, you know, I've been talking about a little things you could have done better. I've been giving you as much advice as possible, so the little things you can tweak, such as, like, you know, you really want to put more production facilities when you have more bases. You want to get more tech, you want to get upgrades, blah blah blah.